Okay, we're looking at our decimal place value, number form, expanded form, word form. This is block 2. If you're in block 2, you should already have this. Okay, this middle section here, the directions say determine whether the numbers below are written in standard form, word form, or expanded form. That should be pretty easy for us. Look at A. 3. First of all, who can read that number? Who can read that number at A? Yes, Riley? Excellent. 3 and 21/100ths. Is that standard, word, or expanded form? Standard. Very good. Okay. And then 1 and 29/100ths. Before we write what form that's in, what form is that? Everyone can just say it. 1 and 29/100ths. Word form. Who knows how to write that in standard form? How do we write that in standard form? I should have more than 2 hands in the air. Carter, in. How do I write that in standard form? B, 1 and 29/100ths. How do I write that in standard form? Yeah. 1 and then what? What is and put? What do I put for and? Decimal point. It's called a decimal point. Good. And then what do I write here? 29/100ths? 29. Okay? Very good. Boys, are you with me? Okay, who can read this number? Go ahead, Henry, read this number. Very good. 1 and 12/100ths. Is that standard, word, or expanded form? Standard. Okay. 50 plus 8/10. What form is that? 50 plus 8/10. What form, Avi? Expanded. What would be the standard form of that number? What would be the standard form? I'm writing some things on my paper that you're not writing. What would be the expanded form? I should have more than these 5 hands in the air. What would this be in standard form? Colin. Which, how do we say that? 50 and 8/10. Very good. And then this says 75/100ths. What form is that? Marin? Word. And then how would I write that in standard form? 75/100ths. How do I write that in standard form? Okay, guys, you're fine. Okay, Luke Wingler, how do I write this in standard form? I know, you need to get it. You need to look again in your folder, please, and then tell me how to write 75/100ths in standard form. Eloise? No, that's 7 and 5/100ths, but I like that you raised your hand and tried. That's hard. Deacon?
0, decimal point 75.
Very good. So you see the difference, Eloise? It's 75/100ths. We never said the word and, so there's nothing before the decimal. Okay, this would be like 0 and 75/100ths, but people don't really read it that way. So it's 0, decimal point, 75, and that's 75/100ths. Okay? Everything comes after the decimal. Okay, I'm going to stop the video so I can reconnect to the screen. Actually, let's just do this part at the bottom. All right, who can read this number A for me? The number on A. Who can read it for me? Jameson?
7 and 36/100.
Very good. And where do we see it over here? What form is it written in? Who can tell me? What form is it in? Ethan? Expanded. So we need to draw it to the I. Okay, B. How do we read that number? That's at B. How do we read that number? Will. 1 and 9/10. And over here on the right, what form is it written in? Expanded. So we need to draw it from B to G. Okay, who can read the number for C? Lindy, what's the number for C? Very good. It's 5 and 54/100ths. There's a few people that are new to our class and we haven't really talked that much about decimals. So I just want to point out, when we get to that decimal point, we say the word and. We read everything before the decimal point just normal. 5 and, okay, and then everything after the decimal point we read like normal, but then we add either tenths or hundredths or thousandths depending on where it ends. So that's 5 and 54 hundredths, so draw the line from C to F. Okay, D, how do we say that number? Carter, do you know how to say that number on D? Okay, we don't say decimal point. What do we say instead of decimal point? 53, what do we say instead of decimal point? And 9 tenths. We have to end with the place value column that we're in after the decimal point. It's either tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. 53 and 9 tenths. Okay, so when we look at that, that's J. And then what about E? How do we say that? How do we say E? Dane, do you know how to read E?
8 and 12 hundredths.
Very good. 8 and 12 hundredths. And it's in word form over here. Okay,